Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire's return to the World Cup. The Elephants never forget how to roll. Welcome to Ball Africa, the podcast where Africa's football stories are just not told, they are felt. Today we travel to the heart of West Africa, a nation blessed with talent, a nation that has produced legends, a nation whose football story is filled with glory, heartbreak, resilience, and now a renewed hope. Today, we talk about the Elephants of Côte d'Ivoire. The Elephants, a team that has carried the dreams of millions and is now preparing to return to football's greatest stage after a 12-year absence. 12 years. And as the world gathers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup starting next week here in North America, the question is simple. Can this generation finally accomplish what even the legendary generations of Didier Drogba could not? Let's dive in. Côte d'Ivoire, a football giant, was born. Before the world knew about the names Didier Drogba, Yaya Touré, Kolo Touré, and Gervinho, football was already deeply woven into the identity DNA of Côte d'Ivoire. The nation gained independence in 1960. Football quickly became more than a sport. It became a source of national pride, a language spoken across villages, cities, and generations. For decades, Côte d'Ivoire competed amongst Africa's strongest football nations. Their first major continental breakthrough came in 1992 when they won the Africa Cup of Nations after defeating Ghana in a very dramatic penalty shootout. The Elephants had arrived. The roar was felt. Yet, the hunger remained. Because this was a nation convinced it belonged amongst the world's elite. And soon, a golden generation would emerge. The golden generation of Côte d'Ivoire. When people speak about African football royalty, certain names immediately come to mind. Didier Drogba, Yaya Touré, Kolo Touré, Salomon Kalou, Didier Sakoro, Gervinho. This was not merely a talented squad. This was a collection of African football icons, a generation that helped elevate African football's global reputation. They qualified for 3 consecutive World Cups, 2006, 2010, 2014. For many African fans, Côte d'Ivoire became everyone's second team. They played with power, with elegance, with swagger, and with belief. Yet football can be really cruel because despite all that talent, despite all those stars, the World Cup knockout rounds remain just average. Heartbreak on the biggest stage. Let's talk about the pain. The kind of pain football fans never truly forget. In 2006, Côte d'Ivoire was thrown into the brutal group featuring Argentina and the Netherlands. They fought bravely, but were eliminated. In 2010, another difficult group awaited them. Brazil, Portugal, North Korea. Again, they fell short. Then came 2014, the closest they had ever been, the tournament where everything seemed destined to change. They defeated Japan. They entered the final group stage match against Greece, needing only a draw to advance to the knockout stages. 90 minutes away from history, 90 minutes away from finally reaching the knockout rounds. But football can be merciless. In stoppage time, Greece was awarded a penalty. The goal went in. The dream died. The Elephants were kicked out of the tournament. Millions of Ivorians were broken. Even today, many supporters remember exactly where they were when that penalty was scored. That was supposed to be the moment, but instead, it became another chapter in the story of what could have been. The years in the wilderness. After Brazil 2014, the golden generation slowly faded. Legends retired, expectations remained, results became inconsistent. The Elephants failed to qualify for Russia in 2018. They missed out in Qatar in 2022 as well. For a football nation of Côte d'Ivoire's stature and caliber, that absence felt enormous. It felt ginormous, gigantic. Questions emerged. Had the glory years ended? Had the giants fallen asleep? Was the elephant sleeping? Could the next generation ever live up to the standards that were set by Drogba and company? Many nations never recovered from such transitions, but Côte d'Ivoire was quickly building something. A new foundation, a new identity, a new dream. The AFCON miracle emerged. Then came one of the most unbelievable stories in African football history. AFCON 2023. Hosted on Ivorian soil, the tournament began very disastrously for the Elephants. The team struggled. Criticism exploded. Many believed the dream was over. Yet somehow, against all odds, Côte d'Ivoire found life. They survived, they advanced, and they believed. Match after match, they grew stronger. The entire nation rallied behind them. What followed was a football fairy tale, a Cinderella story. The Elephants completed an astonishing tournament and lifted the African Cup of Nations trophy on their home soil. A moment of redemption, a moment of national pride, a reminder that giants don't disappear. They simply wait for the right moment to rise and strike. Now, the road to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and rise they did. Under coach Emerse Faé, Côte d'Ivoire produced one of Africa's strongest qualification campaigns. Unbeaten, 8 wins, 2 draws. Automatic qualifier secured. Even more impressive, their defensive record on the road to the World Cup. They finished qualification without conceding a single goal. And this is according to, qualification summaries, widely noted by observers and supporters. This wasn't merely qualification. This was a strong statement. The message was clear. Côte d'Ivoire is back. Not as a nostalgic football power, not as a team living in the shadow of Drogba, but as a serious contender. A new generation carrying an old dream. The new stars have arrived in Côte d'Ivoire. Every generation needs its heroes. Today's Côte d'Ivoire is loaded with talent and skill. Players such as Franck Kessié provides leadership, experience, and dedication. Adingra brings space and creativity. Diallo brings the exciting future. Defensively, players like Ndicka and Diomandé, Ndicka have helped transform the team into one of Africa's most disciplined units. This squad may not yet possess the global star power of Didier Drogba's era, but many analysts believe it is more balanced, more organized, and perhaps better equipped for tournament football. The World Cup group stage is a big challenge for Côte d'Ivoire. Now let's talk about the challenge ahead of them in the World Cup. Côte d'Ivoire enters a group containing the almighty Germany, the tactical Ecuador, and the new excitement, the new kid on the block, Curaçao. Germany would likely enter as favorites. Their pedigree demands respect. Ecuador brings South American toughness and tactical discipline. Curaçao arrives as one of the tournament's inspiring underdog stories. But here's the reality. This is not the group of death. This is a group of opportunity. A group where Côte d'Ivoire can realistically dream. A group where qualification is possible. A group where history can finally be written. Many observers believe the Elephants have a genuine chance of advancing beyond the group stage for the first time ever in their history at the World Cup. And if they do, everything changes. So what should we expect? Let's be realistic. Winning the World Cup would be a monumental shock to the world if Côte d'Ivoire were to win. But reaching the round of 32, very achievable. Reaching the round of 16, absolutely possible. And if momentum builds, we've already seen African nations rewrite history. remember the journey of Morocco in 2022, the journey of Ghana in 2010, the journey of Cameroon in 1990, and the journey of Senegal as well. Remember what belief can do. Remember what happens when talent meets confidence. The Ivorian team has both. Their defense is solid. Their midfield is experienced. Their confidence is growing. And perhaps most importantly, they no longer carry the burden of being compared to the golden generation of Didier Drogba. They are creating their own story. They are creating what they will tell the world. As the World Cup approaches, millions of Ivorians will once again dream of hearing the anthem, dream of seeing the orange, white, and green flag waving proudly, dream of finally breaking through. For 20 years, Côte d'Ivoire has stood on the edge of the World Cup history, close enough to touch it, close enough to feel it, but never quite able to grab it. Now a generation has arrived, a generation inspired by Drogba, guided by the lessons of heartbreak, strengthened by the triumph of AFCON, and determined to show the world that the elephants will roar. Will they finally reach the knockout rounds this time around? Will they become Africa's next great Cinderella story at the World Cup? We are about to find out, because football, like life, always offers another chance. And for Côte d'Ivoire, that chance is now. I am Easy Lise, and this is Ball Africa. Until next time, keep believing in African football. The world is finally starting to understand what we've known for a long time. Africa doesn't just participate, Africa competes. Thanks.